everyone. Welcome to the Sporty Show. Happy Thursday, and it is confirmed. We have all 16 clubs that are heading into the round of 16 in the Champions League. Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Atletico, Barca, Real Madrid, Inter, Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, Dortmund, PSG, Lille, Feyenoord, PSV, Club Brugge, and Benfica. We'll get into it today, guys, and a lot to look into in the weekend. I'm your host, as always, Sara, joined back with the one, the only, KlintonCod.
History. Madrid, 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 a la Madrid, y nada más, a la Madrid. Woo!
Just checking, can everyone still hear? You guys are good at the table? Well in. All right.
I think my eardrums are first.
Madrid fans, let's celebrate, man. We went to the Etihad, we conquered. They came to the Bellingham, we conquered. As usual, that's what big teams do. But before we get into that match, let me introduce to you Shantelle. Shantelle, Wagwan, are you happy for Real Madrid?
Of course, I'm happy for Real Madrid. It was an easy win. Man City didn't even try to play, so Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Alex?
What a night of football it was, and lots to dissect. And it doesn't stop there. Real Madrid's obviously beating Man City, but Man City have got to do it all again on Sunday against Liverpool.
It's a big one, Alex. It is a big one, guys. Lots of Premier League action this weekend. But first, here's what we have coming up on Sporty TV this weekend. Starting tomorrow, Newcastle Jets versus Brisbane Roar, Damac versus Al Ahly in the Saudi League, as well as Al Nassr and Cristiano Ronaldo in action against Al Etihad. We have Burnley versus Sheffield Wednesday, and on Saturday over to the J League, it's Osaka versus Shonan, Melbourne Victory versus Melbourne City, Sunderland versus Hull City, and in the Premier League, it's Arsenal taking on West Ham. Over to Germany, we have Dortmund with Union Berlin, Sporting Gijón versus Almeria, to Argentina, Boca Juniors versus Aldosivi, San Martin versus River, back to the J League on Sunday, Hiroshima versus Yokohama, Club Brugge in action against Liège, Aris versus Panathinaikos. In the Serie A, it is Empoli versus Atalanta, and closing it all up in La Liga, Real Sociedad versus Leganés. Lots and lots of football action here on Sporty TV, as per usual. But here's what we have coming up on today's show.
Coming up on the Sporty Show, last night's Champions League playoffs had it all. Real Madrid ran riot over Man City, PSV sent Juventus packing, PSG put on a 7-goal show, and Dortmund hold their nerve to edge past Sporting. We'll break down all the drama, plus look ahead to a huge Premier League weekend with Aston Villa against Chelsea and Liverpool taking on Man City. All that and more, so stay tuned as we bring you all the best action from across Europe's top leagues.
All right, guys, we have a lot to dive into, but first, it's my pleasure to introduce to the show for the first time, joining us from Sporty FM, Miss Abigail is here with us. Abigail, how are we today?
We are good. Everything is fine down here. It's good to be here.
I'm happy to have you. It's nice to see a fresh face, another woman in the game. We have Shantelle and I, and now another one, guys. You are outnumbered.
Abigail, do you love Real Madrid?
Pardon?
Do you love Real Madrid?
Yes, I am. You got me there.
Right, okay. Can you sing Yena Damas? Yena Damas.
Hala Madrid. Hala Madrid.
Okay, you are hired.
Better than you.
You are hired.
It's better than you,
No, you are hired to be on the show this year.
Because it's February and you've been learning Spanish, or you've been here not learning Spanish for 8 months. And Abigail doesn't live in Spain and already sings it better than you.
Do you know if I texted her all the lyrics before she came on this show?
Get it.
I know you didn't.
Well, you never know.
All right, guys, let's talk a little Champions League because, yes, we have the 16 teams confirmed into the next round. The draw will be held tomorrow, 12 p.m. WAT time, CET, whatever suits you. So we will know who will be playing who. But, Abigail, I'll ask you first. Who is the biggest underdog in this round of 16, or maybe the biggest shock, a club that you didn't expect to go through?
Well, I think the Club Rouge has brought some different light into Champions League this time around with a new format. And I think that we are all contemplating on how was going to play out, who was really going to get to the next round. But on the larger side, it gave us a lot of games to watch and clubs that could be stretched to the latter and how they were going to bend or not. I didn't think hitherto if we were going to use the old format anyone would have given Club Brugge that dog's chance. I think that, like Kevin said the other time, they are the dark horses and they are in to prove something. They might not get as far as we might want to. For me, I think maybe the round of 16 could be the last stop for them, but they have really shown something good this season with this new format. And clearly, if you do your homework well, you can get through to the next round like they have shown. So for me, Club Rouge has been that revelation for me, and I'm really happy for this feat, but I think this is the last stop for them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Alex, for you, Club Brugge, the biggest underdog?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, actually going into the tie, I feel like they're not so much of an underdog against Aston Villa. I think they are an underdog, but I think they could even be favourites against Lille if they get drawn against Lille. I think when you look at the Dutch sides, PSV and Feyenoord, it might change a little bit because Feyenoord looking like they might be appointing Robin van Persie as their new manager. So that could change things a little bit. But yeah, I think along with the Dutch sides, Benfica as well, I think they're going to struggle in this next round. I think out of the sides that have gone through, I'm expecting Benfica to be the ones that will be dropping out first.
Hopefully by Barcelona. Shantelle, I'll ask you, you've been with us for the knockout round here last week and this week. What was the best goal in your mind? Is there a goal that sticks out to you over these past 2 weeks?
I'm trying not to be biased here, but I have to give it to Mbappe.
Oh, I thought you were going to give it to a Monaco player.
No, Monaco,
Or
I'm
a
no.
Liverpool player from the league phase.
No. Aren't we talking about last night?
No, the entire knockout. So last night, the night before, and then last week as well.
I'm still going to give it to Mbappe.
Okay, which one?
I have to give for the entire first goal, second goal, third goal against Man City, that hat-trick. I lived for it.
Okay.
So I have to give that as my favorite.
Clinton, do you have a goal that stood out for you over the last 2 weeks in these knockout games?
Okay. Over the last 2 weeks, in my opinion, I mean, there have been several goals, but honestly, I cannot remember every single one of them, which means maybe they've not stood out as much that it would just stick to my head. But obviously, I still remember last night because I was there. I saw it happen in real life. I saw the Mbappe chip in. The Mbappe one literally gave me the, it was almost like a deja vu of what Mamouche did against Newcastle. And obviously, he did it right in front of Mamouche. And I'm sure Mamouche would have felt like, this guy wants to steal my goal. But then you're losing. So obviously, there is nothing to be happy about. So I think from what I could remember, I would definitely give it to Mbappe. That was a very beautiful, confident goal as well. There are people who, I told you guys when we saw the Mamouche one, I did say that for players to think about heighting a keeper without thinking about, okay, what if the ball hits the woodwork or, what if the keeper just lifts one hand or he touches any part of the neck or the head or whatever. But just knowing where the goal is, within that split second, knowing that you have a defender guiding you, you have the keeper just right in front of you, and knowing you can place it so directly into the back of the net. Like, it's literally not one of those where you could, I'm sure when he kicked it, he was already ready to celebrate because you could clearly see he's done it so accurately that it was going in. So I think I'm giving that one my best goal from the last couple of days the last 2 weeks of Champions League football.
Okay, I'm going to give a shout out to Ivan Perisic last night, who had an excellent volley against Juventus. Oh, should you do your research before the show?
No, I should, but...
And for those of you, Alex and Shantelle, you guys were with me yesterday. Bradley Barcola opening up the scoreboard. The touch, the control to get that past the defender. It was a brilliant, independent effort, and I thought it was one of the best goals. He's so talented, this young Frenchman.
I like the fact that you said one of the best goals, though, Because you've not said that's the best goal in the last 2 weeks for yourself, but that's one of the best goals, right?
Yeah, I'd say Perisic and Barcola were the two best goals, so it's one of the best, and I named two.
So who is the best? That's the question now.
Ooh, between the two, for me, I will give it to Barcola because I think the control against the.
I need to go find this goal.
Okay.
Because the way, and Sarah, if I go find this goal and the goal is not living up to the expectation of how many words you've given it so far, Sarah, you're walking out of this show.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Oh, sorry.
You guys
No,
wanna
you're
take
not.
over?
No.
Ladies
You're
and
not.
gentlemen,
Hey,
thank you so
Sarah,
much.
come here. No. The goal's actually so good.
Get out. All right, Abigail, let's talk about Manchester City and Real Madrid. Quickly, I'll ask you just your thoughts on Manchester City's performance. Obviously, because they have a big match this weekend against Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, I think that for Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City, it was coming, but we have also said that Champions League has a different feel. There's a certain character that comes with it. And in the last 2 seasons, if you checked around, you would have thought that they would be able to switch into that Champions League mode after the first leg and maybe go to Bernabeu and do something good. But I've always also maintained that for Champions League, you need a lot more aura, you need a lot more class than form. And that is what there's the school of thought that says that for Real Madrid is more like a school where you are taught and allowed to walk into that class and play Champions League. You look at Mbappe, for instance, we're talking about his hat-trick now. When he joined Madrid, a lot of people were asking questions if he was a good buy. But I think that Ancelotti took him through that school, and now that confidence is back. That front line is working again. You get Vinicius and Rodrigo ready to work for him to shine. And is that telepathy, that understanding that you have with Real Madrid? And in time past, for you to win this trophy 15 times, you need to walk in that aura and class. And I think that over the years, I'm yet to see a club that has that's more than Real Madrid. They just know how to play Champions League. And no matter how you box them in a small corner, there's always a leeway out of it. And people will conclude that, hey, Ancelotti is the magician. But for City, their woes have gone on for a very long time. And this adds up to it, 13 matches, and they are not seeing getting the best out of it. I personally was not too surprised. You watch that game and you see that midfield that was totally broken, that you know that something good would have come out of Vinicius, even if not Mbappe, you get from Jude Bellingham or Rodrigo. And it clearly played out just the way I imagined it in my mind. So I wouldn't say I'm surprised that City's continuous woes, but form is permanent, form is temporal, and class for me is permanent. And that you can't take away from Real Madrid.
I mean, I was just going to drop a question. Do you, sorry, Abigail, do you think, I don't know if you covered it during your speech seconds ago, would you say Ancelotti is a magician for winning Man City in the manner at which they did, or do you think Man City were just too bad that Real Madrid were just able to walk through them? You know, what would you put that to? You know, in your own opinion.
I wouldn't say Ancelotti is a magician just because of that game yesterday. Like I said earlier, we've seen him 10 players hitherto that you wouldn't really hope to get a lot more out of them in that Madrid setup. And over time, they're able to understand what it means to be a Los Blancos and play in the Champions League. So it is a touch he has. And I feel that if you are a player, you get in there and you really want to play and be counted as one of those Galacticos for Madrid, you understand what it is that he does. It literally works for you. And for Man City, it was just showing. They have just had a bad run, and it is just continuing. I agree. Pep Guardiola says they need to reset. Maybe after all of this that has happened, they would really sit back, aside their injury woes, know what is really going on in that dressing room that is not really working for them like it used to. So it is a number of issues that is piling up for Man City, and the earlier they get to the end of it or solve it, some of these things will definitely continue, and it will show in every other game they play, not just that one against Madrid yesterday. For Madrid, they just know how to do the job, and they did it.
Sarah, and obviously I want to. I don't know if you're the right person for me to ask this question because
I know it's coming. I'm going to face you for this.
100%. I can bet you don't know what I'm about to ask you, Sarah, and I'm going to put it up to Alex and Shantelle as well. Now, you see, in my opinion, I feel like Real Madrid, in as much as we understand that they are currently playing on, super form, right? Everything seems to be clicking. We see Kylian Mbappe, we see Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Bellingham. There's just something. There's some kind of chemistry that we can clearly see, right? Now, they've just faced a Manchester City that's just won in Newcastle. And obviously, just before the game, I did make a statement. I said, why is he not using the same template that he's used in playing Newcastle? And we saw how beastly they were. Why didn't he use it against Real Madrid, right? Now, Real Madrid, I know what the answer would be if I say, how come we didn't see that kind of performance against the likes of Barcelona, Atleti, when they faced them and it seemed like they've struggled. They've faced Barcelona twice this season, and it's literally been exactly what they've given to Manchester City. That's what Barcelona has given to Real Madrid so far. Yeah. Now, is it that Ancelotti they refer to him as a masterclass when he faces deformed teams, or are we saying he's now currently a masterclass that if he faces a Barcelona as we speak, Real Madrid will be turning up just the same way they've turned up against Manchester City?
You're right. I didn't know you were going to ask that. Thought you were going to ask something else. Shantelle, do you want to go first? I saw you smiling a little bit when he was saying something, like you had something to say.
No, because I didn't know that's
okay. We all
was going. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one. But based on the performance that I saw, Real Madrid versus Man City, we saw a very broken Man City. In the sense of we've seen when they've delivered, we've seen them at their worst. And again, you mentioned that Newcastle game where I thought that Man City was back. But I don't think Real Madrid did anything special last night, like any changes. They just faced a very bad Man City who wasn't really challenging them. So I wouldn't call it a masterclass because I've seen when they've done a masterclass, but I wouldn't give last night an Ancelotti or a Real Madrid masterclass.
Fair enough. Alex, what do you think about that one?
I think the big thing that it comes down to for me, you ask about whether if Real Madrid were to play like that against Barcelona, let's say tomorrow, would they get the same result? The big thing that it comes down to for me is that it was in the Champions League. And Real Madrid in the Champions League is a different animal, I think, when you compare them to when they're in the league. Yes, they're strong in the league. They've been playing really well up to late. Obviously, had a little bit of a dip in form with the loss to Osasuna and the loss to Espanyol and the draw to Osasuna. But I think when you look at what Real Madrid do in the Champions League when it matters most, because they had some defeats in the league phase, but they got through to the knockout phase, the playoffs. They won the playoffs. They're now through to the last 16. They win when it matters most. They are the most experienced and the best team when it comes to winning these important games in Europe. They've proven it over however many years playing Champions League and European Cup football. And I think credit has to go to Guardiola and the way that he manages his players in that game. Yes, they have an abundance of quality players. You look at Bellingham, Valverde, Rodrigo, Vinicius, the list goes on, Rudiger, Courtois in goal. I think the thing that is something to do with Real Madrid, and this is such a big thing, when they play those big teams in the Champions League, like Man City or Bayern Munich, for example, most big teams will think, look at Arsenal last season when they played Bayern Munich. They knew that Bayern Munich were going to come onto them and take the game to them. And they allowed that pressure. They were soaking up that pressure. But it's the ability to deal with that pressure and not letting it get to you. Real Madrid know that Man City are going to come to them and take the game to them. Last night they didn't do that, but we look at the games that they've played in previous years. Man City have taken that game to Real Madrid. Real Madrid have allowed them to come onto them, but have not let that get to them. They haven't panicked. They haven't thought, oh my God, we've been defending for 80, 90 minutes here. We need to change something. They pick their moments. They're patient. They know that pressure is going to come for 90 minutes from these really good teams, but they just know how to deal with it. They have the experience to deal with it. And in the Champions League, I will say it now, I think I said it yesterday, Real Madrid are my favourites to win the Champions League at this moment.
But, you mentioned, right, that, when it comes to Champions League football, that, Real Madrid just know how to handle stuff. But if there was some level of we know how to handle Champions League football, do you think Real Madrid should be trying to get into the final round of 16? Like, do you not think by now they should have been chilling with the likes of Arsenal, even Aston Villa? We're talking about the likes of Lille, though. Like, where was it? Because for me, that's still Champions League football. And mind you, because the truth is, if it wasn't a defunct Manchester City, let's say they were five. If this was a team, let's say, for example, this was an Arsenal. We understand that Arsenal, they probably have their own level of injuries, but when you see how they perform, they don't perform as if there is any kind of injury. As a matter of fact, they have a midfielder being their striker for the first time, having 2 goals right there and there, right? So if looking at the performance, in my opinion, I was impressed with how they dealt with Manchester City because I was at the stadium. I saw how Manchester City fans, the English guys, they were drunk and very annoying as hell, and I could have punched a few of them if, obviously, I was not holding Sporty TV microphones and stuff, right? But, you know, I was happy to just see that they were able to humble this group of fans who were very loud and they didn't even know how poor their teams were even going to be because they had seen a win against a Newcastle whom also did not play the game when they played them, right? So if this was a team that was safe, well, it was an Arsenal. In fact, let me not even go into Arsenal. Let me just say...
Bayern Munich.
Nah, Bayern Munich is even rubbish.
Barcelona, you know? Liverpool.
Okay, I mean, Barcelona, we've used them so many times. Let's say Liverpool. Let's say Liverpool, right? Which we know Liverpool would never be struggling to get into the final round. But let's say it was a Liverpool now, yeah? Do you think that it will still be the same story of them just walking in and out of Liverpool?
I don't think it's a case of they don't walk in, they don't walk over teams in the Champions League.
No, they did walk over Manchester City.
This is what I'm saying. They don't always walk over teams in the Champions League. Last night, I think, was an exception. They play well in the Champions League. They do brilliantly on these big nights. Man City last night was an exception to how poor Man City were last night. I don't think I've seen a performance that bad in quite a while in these important games at the Bernabeu in the Champions League. And when, for example, if in the quarterfinals we see a Real Madrid versus Liverpool, I do think Liverpool have quite a big chance of knocking Real Madrid out. Real Madrid have, I think it's 50-50 at this point, maybe even 55 to Liverpool. But when you look at those big moments, yes, they're not going to win 100 games out of 100, but when you get to those pressure moments and those big moments where it matters most, 85 minutes on the clock, you need a goal. We've seen it so many times against Man City when they've been behind. When it matters most, they come up on top. Not every single time, but 90% of the time you see Real Madrid come out on top on those big games.
Can I read some of the comments? Sorry, guys, you've just been going back and forth a bit. I just want to get into some of this. Emmanuel says, come on, guys, why are you making it look as if we have been having bladdering season ourselves. I'm not really sure what that means, forgetting the fact that we also have been going through a transition with a lot of crucial injuries. Markandé says, pardon me, give Real Madrid their flowers. It's not easy to do this season after season. Manchester City has been good for less than 10 years, but Real has been good for centuries. Grafe says, starting the day, Liverpool were the favourites to win the Champions League, but according to Sporty Bet, plug, odds, now Real Madrid is the favourite. Markandé said if Guardiola has the same Manchester City bad run at Real Madrid, he'd be jobless. That's the difference. Alaba, Militao, Carvajal, Vasquez, Rudiger all been out. My question is, if Man City won yesterday, what would you guys be saying? And we did ask you guys a poll, which team's performance was the most impressive in the recent UCL playoffs? Real Madrid, 75%, PSG, 18%, PSV, 3%. Dortmund 3%. Poll's a bit tricky though because that was obviously the biggest game, in my opinion. But we're asking PSG, no.
I think PSV does deserve a little bit more love though.
Well, that was the best game of the night last night, without a shadow of a doubt. We were loving it. That was a back and forth. It was close. There were two teams playing. I'm going to ask you guys quickly if you want to say anything else on this Manchester City-Real Madrid match. Abigail, that's you as well, because otherwise we need to move along to Manchester City and Liverpool.
Just a minor one. This is tactical. I don't want to bore you guys too much. I think one of the main reasons as to why Man City were so poor last night, Ancelotti said it, how without Haaland, they lose that physical presence and that power. And the press last night from Man City was shocking. We saw how easily Real Madrid were able to get the ball out of defence. I think the first goal was a prime example of that. Asensio driving forward and sending it to Mbappe. To allow that much space going forward and playing the ball out from the back, you're always going to invite problems onto you as a team. And Man City, from start to finish, weren't there pressuring Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid, the fluidity they played with, the interchanging of positions. Bellingham was on the left, on the right, through the middle. Rodrigo was coming across, Mbappe was coming across, changing, and they're all intertwining magically without a scene. They obviously had a plan, but without set positions. And that's credit to Ancelotti in that case, that he allows his players to have that freedom, and they do so well to interchange positions and make those runs. And Bellingham said it himself last night. I thought Rodrigo was fantastic and doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He said...
Do you want to go to that clip?
Yeah, let's hear what Bellingham had to say, because he can say it better than I can.
Rodrigo, so underrated, you know. I think for me, he's probably the most talented and most gifted player in the squad. I think the things he can do with the football, you know, when we'll be messing around and he'll flick the ball up somehow, and you're like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? I'm trying to do it, twisting up my ankles and everything like that. And yeah, it's a pleasure to play with both of them. You know, you put them in positions where they can affect the games and they'll win it for you. I think Rodrigo, another thing to mention is he's the one who kind of sacrifices the most, really. I think it's clear that his favourite position is the left. I think it's important to note that, you know, he does a lot for the team as well, defensively on the right side, which isn't his favourite, but never complains, just gets on with it, and that's the way we have to continue, you know.
Sorry, go on.
I'll quickly ask you guys, actually, Abigail, I'll start with you. Regarding what Bellingham just said about Rodrigo, obviously the rumours are that Rodrigo would be the one leaving in terms of the top three at the front. And obviously have a player like Bellingham come out and say that this is the most naturally gifted, the most talented player. What are your thoughts on if Rodrigo were to leave Real Madrid?
I think that it would be a blow. Like I said earlier, he is the one, together with Vinicius, that have now come together to work closely and are feeding Jude Bellingham and Mbappe to give us what we are seeing now. That was the case of Ronaldo and Karim Benzema. He was the man in the back doing all the job, and Ronaldo was always scoring and taking his flowers. He's that piece that people don't really pay attention to, but if he is not there, it becomes a big problem and a very big hole for that front line. And I think that having worked their way to make the four of them work together, it will be quite difficult to replace him if you should get him out of that place. He for me, is that driving force for that four fronts that are getting things done and have understood themselves and are working for Real Madrid at this point in time. For me, he's a very integral part of this Madrid team going forward if we want to get more goals and get a lot more results. So if he's not there, for me, I think it would be a very big blow.
You know, I'll just touch on what's, just Rodrigo and, the team, the Real Madrid team as a whole, and then I'll come back to that last night game with regards to not having Haaland there and how it did affect Manchester City. Now, Rodrigo, like Bellingham did say, I don't think he selected or he means to us at all. He literally said it, the most talented player in Real Madrid. We've seen him during the trainings. We've seen him even just before the game starts. There are some things he does on the pitch, and you ask yourself, hang on, this guy, how the hell do you do this stuff? And he does it so effortlessly. My man is skillful as hell. As a matter of fact, the things he can do, we only see 10% of it on the pitch. I'm telling you for free. Like, Rodrigo is a talent. When you're talking about natural, this is who this man is. So, I mean, we were in the game in Leganes, remember, right? We were just on the pitch side. And, people were not paying attention to him. But I was just seeing him do some stuff with the ball, right? And it was almost like he was doing it blindly. I don't know if he knew he was doing it. And in my head, I'm like, wait, is this green screen? But this was real life. How the hell is this stuff going on? So I totally understand. And if he leaves, I'll tell you one thing for sure, right? Real Madrid will still win games, in as much as he's one of the puzzle in that team. But Real Madrid, they've built themselves to a point where they're able to survive, irrespective of no. Let me tell you something. I think Valverde is the number one person in that team. Like, to me, he's like the best player when it comes to versatility for Real Madrid. For everything. No, for everything. I've said it, that if they give him a glove, he will probably maybe do close to Thibaut Courtois, even without having the height, in my opinion, right? They'll tell you how crazy this guy is. But there are some, the one thing that's good about Real Madrid is somehow they make things work. Even if you don't have this person, you don't have that one. We've seen them struggle with defense, but they still somehow either find a way or they will draw the game. Now, coming back to what happened yesterday with Manchester City, right? You guys remember I did say something. I said, how do you come into such an important game where you know it's a win or win affair. Like you cannot even draw. You have to not just win, but you have to win with a couple of goal margin to be able to qualify. And then you keep out the highest goal score. Okay, I think Mo Salah
Haaland
is the
went to
highest goal,
Pep
right?
in the morning and said that he wasn't fit enough to play in this game. This wasn't a decision by Guardiola.
Really?
Haaland came to Pep in the morning and said, I am not fit for this game.
He
Nah,
didn't
at this
warm
point-
up with the players, even during the game, he didn't warm up on the sideline.
At this point, they need to now investigate Haaland. We need to find who paid him. Because somebody said, bro, listen, maybe what they told him, the money that they promised him, whether we like it or not, that money is bigger than what Manchester City will pay him for the next 5 years. Do you know what it means for Pep Guardiola to not play Champions League football at this stage? Do you know, for Haaland to agree? No, MI5, MI6, I don't know where you guys are, but Haaland has to be investigated. Because, in my opinion, his absence...
He had to be seriously unfit to
Listen,
make such a
for me, his absence...
crucial decision.
His absence is almost like 70% of the reason why they lost this game. Why? It was only because Haaland, even an unfit Haaland, his presence...
It's that
Just-
physicality
Just the physicality, just
press
being,
as well.
just literally being Haaland.
in the press
being
as well,
there.
going forward. Imagine Rudiger up against Haaland.
I was going to say that.
Rudiger and Asensio had a quiet night.
Of course, no, for real, no jokes.
And Savinho,
Yes.
I didn't see a peep from them.
I literally did not see anything. Like I was looking at Rudiger. Or,
That was
listen,
because of the
God,
great
you guys
work
look at me on this
Asensio
camera.
and Rudiger.
I was in the game. Do you know when I found out Rudiger was in that game? I found out at about 70-something minutes. I was like, wait, Rudiger is actually playing, you know? And remember, I was even reading the lineup. I even read his name. Now, we came into the game, I didn't even know he was playing. And Real Madrid still, bro! Anyways,
All
we
right,
need to
let's
move on.
move along to Liverpool because, yes, Man City had a tough week in the Champions League, and now they have to welcome Liverpool to the Etihad. Shantelle, I'll start with you as our Liverpool fan. How confident are you feeling going into this match on Sunday?
The thing is, he starts with the sentence, Liverpool fan, how confident are you feeling? Obviously, I'm confident. Like, I always said, I try to be unbiased when it comes on to the team that I support, but I have to stand 10 toes behind him. We've seen the performances throughout the season, and we've seen what they're capable of. When Liverpool is in form, they deliver. And if Man City should show up and play the way that they played against Real Madrid last night, Liverpool will have a field day. Unless they take some sort of lesson that they learned against Real Madrid and try to make a point against Liverpool this weekend, then we might see some sort of stiff competition. But I don't know. I think it's going to go in Liverpool's favour. We have Salah. We have Jota, who is now fit. We have
Jota with that swing and a miss, though, yesterday. Let's not forget. I know you were giving Darwin Nunez some business, but Jota sent it to Clinton at the Bernabeu.
No, Jota, yeah, that was very poor on him, but it's Jota over Darwin any day. Any Liverpool fan will tell you that for free. But we have players of that caliber who have stepped up, who have shown us. Trent with a goal yesterday. Like, the passes that he makes, we just have such a well put together team that's really connecting this season. And I'm happy to see what Slot has done with the team this season, because it's never easy when a team has a new manager and then have to go through all of these leagues and competitions and all of that. But Liverpool has proven themselves, and all I can say is good luck to Manchester City.
Abigail, I'll ask you, is there any thought that with Man City now being out of the Champions League, that now all their focus will be on the Premier League, and now there might be a shift in the dynamic about, you know, the mentality of this team?
I think that for Manchester City, they're trying to just get themselves together after that bad run. And if Champions League is off the table, it's only right and logic that they concentrate on at least finishing in top 4 in the Premier League, and then try their luck again in the Champions League next season. And like you rightly said, it takes some weight off Pep Guardiola. Now he gets to think solely about the Premier League and make sure that maybe Mama Mush will get another hat-trick. Maybe he's good for the English Premier League and yet to get himself into the European group, I mean, out of England. So for him, he would have to get a result after reeling up from that loss in midweek. And Liverpool clearly also, we know that now Arsenal are breathing deep on their neck, and it is looking like the title race is now really getting to them. They are being held in the neck to make sure that they keep that gap if they really want to lift this title. And that is why Ancelotti was really furious with those two draws they've gotten from Everton and Aston Villa yesterday as well. So they know what it means if they allow Man City to come back from Bernabeu and come and vent on them back at home in England. So for Pep Guardiola going into this game, he's going in there at least to salvage his face and continue in the race, just so they will be able to get back into Europe next season.
Clinton, is there a hope? Is there a thought for Man City?
Well, the truth is, just knowing that there are less problems to worry about. There's no more Champions League, which is literally the highest trophy that we know every team would want to.
Quick one for the room here. What would you rather win, Premier League or Champions League? Go, just top of the head. Which one?
For me, I'm going Champions League.
Fair enough.
Champions League.
Depends on the club.
No, absolutely not, Alex. Personal preference.
If you made me pick one, Champions League.
Champions League. Abigail?
Champions League.
Wow, incredible.
What about you, Sarah?
Honestly, I think the Premier League. I think the league is so underrated in how you have to be so consistent throughout. Like, why is Liverpool at the top? Because they've lost one game. I think it's a different kind. It's like tournament style football versus consistency. Tournament style is you got to be good on the day. If you're having a bad day, you're gone. But I think winning, like, it's iconic to win a Premier League. I mean, I don't know. I think it's about being better over more games in a longer period. I think the Champions League is so special because it brings so many of the big teams from Europe and what that means to play against teams that you're not necessarily used to playing, and you see the big dogs.
But Sarah, in my opinion, right, I think it should be more difficult to win the Champions League because you are fighting against the best in Europe. Yeah? Compared to fighting against Ipswich, Southampton.
But it's about consistency. That's why Zinedine Zidane said La Liga's harder to win than the Champions League.
But listen, I would rather hear this is the champion.
I would rather not hear you saying.
I think it depends on the club. Like Man City, I think if you ask them what would you rather win, they'd say the Champions League because they've won the Premier League, 6 times in the last however many years. If you asked Arsenal fans, I think they'd say the Premier League. If you asked Liverpool fans, I think they'd say the Premier League.
I guess. I mean, let us know for those of you who are watching. I'm actually shocked, Alex. I was really shocked with you. I've never met such a group of people that all said the Champions League. Most, I know, diehard fans would go for the domestic league. So I'm really shocked with you, actually. English fans are all about the Premier League.
If you made me pick on the spot, I would pick Champions League, but I think it depends on the situation. If to ask me from, say, a Chelsea point of view,
it's different from
I would pick the Premier League. Because we've won the Champions League twice. Yes, it would be brilliant to win it a third time.
Yeah, but come on, Real Madrid would like to win it 20 more times. You can still win it more than twice.
But if you ask me to pick now what is the trophy I'd rather win next, I would say the Premier League from a Chelsea point of view. From an Arsenal point of view, I'd say the Premier League. From a Man City point of view, I'd say the Champions League.
Well, let us know your club and then if you'd rather win the Premier League or the Champions League. Because Alex says there's, maybe a bit here.
But why?
Wow, Markinde agreeing with me. He's saying, in reality, it is more difficult to win the league title.
But hold on. No. I will still counter that because it depends on the league you're playing, though. Are you telling me it's more difficult for PSG to win the French league? Well, exactly.
That's why it changes. If you ask PSG,
they'd
say...
They want to win the Champions League,
My question was... Premier League or Champions League? Stand on that.
So what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that the other leagues, they are
I'm asking because the Premier League is so
No, just go straight to the point. Tell us
that is my point.
What's your point?
It's so notorious. Isn't the oldest league as well,
it's not about it. Just tell us that it's the strongest league. Like, it's literally the number one league in literally football.
Right now, but it fluctuates. Absolutely, it fluctuates. During the early 2010s, it was not La Liga was all, and everyone winning the Champions League, it was between Barca and Real Madrid. More Real Madrid, of course, but the Messi, Ronaldo, the that La Liga, I can't even talk. La Liga was better than the Premier League because we saw a dip in the Premier League as well. Like it was two things happening at once.
No,
but right now, I think the Premier League is the best.
I think the big thing and the best thing about the Premier League and why I think it is the best league in the world is because at the beginning of the season, you may laugh at me, but in reality, there are 5 teams. Sorry, Tottenham. But there are 5 teams that could win the Premier League, maybe 4, given how bad Manchester United are at the moment. But there are 5 teams, and if they're all playing well, at some point in the last 15 years, every season, there's been at least 6 teams that could have won the Premier League. That's what makes it so exciting and the best.
Absolutely. And you see, the truth is, even now as we speak in 2025.
Even now, we don't know Liverpool are going to win.
Exactly.
City
You don't know if... Exactly. I mean, Mackinday just said that City, whom we don't have so much confidence in right now, Mackinday said think that they could win the Premier.
Forest,
For me, there are so many of them you could mention. You're even talking about the likes of teams like Brighton, right? You're even talking about Fulham. You're talking about where did Nottingham Forest come from, right? So the truth is, the Premier League, the only reason why I can tell you for free that, okay, winning the Premier League might be very exciting is the fact that the competition there is crazy. When you go to the German league, you're talking about Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, even Dortmund. We are beginning to even now count them out, right? That you can even say maybe
You got Frankfurt.
and even now that Mamouche is no longer there, who knows what's going to happen over time? Like then you now go to the one that's even angering me more is that French league. That right now they don't need a coach and assistant coach. Take away the 2, PSG still wins that league. Like I don't know why even this football association, they are not even doing something. I think they need to take some of the teams from French league, reshuffle them, take some of them to maybe Saudi league, bring some, like just reshuffle, make it more stronger. I mean, and the Syria, I can give them that one because at least there are loads of good, maybe at least 4 or 5 that we can, put our hands on.
I do have a comment for Shantelle here. Tejesu is saying that they are a Liverpool fan and they would rather win the Premier League than the Champions League. It's not easy to wait another 30 years. So there are Liverpool fans because I asked and no one really said what they were the only person who said what team they were.
No,
that's
when Alex puts into perspective that from a Chelsea fan point of view, it's different because like my answer is as a football fan in general. But if I'm going to speak from a Liverpool point of view, I'm going to go for Prem. But overall, it's Champions League because of the weight that it carries.
Wait, I'm confused. You're going to go for the Prem, but you're going to... Wait, no,
I
missed.
As a Liverpool fan, what would mean more to me right now is the Premier League.
Done. Finished. There you go. There you go. But...
As a Liverpool fan, but outside of that...
Yeah, but that's why I'm asking. I think, like...
So I misunderstood the question.
No, because I think, like... Maybe, okay, I guess if you're, like you were saying, you're a Brighton and stuff, but I still think it's so much harder to win the league because it's over a longer duration and you have to be consistent throughout while maybe probably playing in the Champions League, the FA Cup, the Copa del Rey, whatever it may be.
But you guys know that educational, like if we want to equate these league titles, if we want to equate it to like academics or like, let's just equate them, right? Do you know for me, the Champions League is like having a PhD, right? The Premier League to me is like getting a master's degree. And then maybe all them FA Cup and all of that cup, it's like having an undergraduate degree, right?
It just depends on what angle you look at it from. That's what it comes down to.
I hate this argument and I dislike the reasoning of it, but looking at Chelsea and Arsenal side by side, Chelsea are a more successful club historically than Arsenal because Chelsea have won 2 Champions League titles and the Premier League titles. Yes, Arsenal have won more Premier League titles, but Arsenal haven't won the Champions League.
Yeah, so that means for Arsenal...
I think that winning the Champions League, it obviously...
So now Arsenal, they've been trying to get a PhD.
Yeah.
But you see how difficult PhD is to get. So you see where I'm coming from now.
Yeah, no,
right?
I agree with you.
Thank you.
I think the Champions League is like a summer course. It's like having
a summer course. That's like
okay, think about
French.
it. Okay, think about
Spanish.
it.
Come on, man. You can't just downplay the Champions League like that.
I'm just trying to compare it to the Premier League because the Champions League is way less matches. And like I said, if you are having a bad day, it comes down to one match in the final. You're having a bad day, it's gone. And then obviously over, 2 legs.
But that's what makes it worse, though.
No, but then you have one bad day, it's done. The Premier League, you gotta grind week in, week out, 38 weeks of just pain and misery and working hard.
Hold on. But you see what? No, but listen to what Sara just said, yeah? In the Premier League, you just have one bad game. It just means that maybe your next game, you can make it up. Your next 2 games, play another 3 games, you can start building your points. Then maybe let's say one crazy player like Rodrigo gets injured, right? Then you start dropping. But people can still say that there is still hope, though. You never know. For example, Makinde now thinks that Manchester City still have hope. Despite going this bad form, you don't have that kind of leisure when it comes to Champions League football. Manchester City, they are off. There is nothing like, don't worry, we still have hope. Maybe when Rodrigo comes back at some point. You see why it's more important for me?
They were bad on the night, though.
Yeah, and you're done. Literally, there's no hope
Bad
again.
on the night, they're out.
They're out. No,
AC Milan.
they're gone. Like they cannot have a degree at this point when it comes to Champions League
But that's
football.
exactly it.
But
you have a bad night and
No,
you're out,
yeah,
but
but
that
to me,
doesn't
that's-
prove
that's why-
anything.
no, but
People
that's why
have
it's so
bad
difficult.
days.
That's why you need it.
Football teams have
But
bad
it's
days
not-
to
you have
win.
your bad day.
To win a
You have
Premier
your
League.
bad day in the Premier League.
You have to be good from September to June. That's consistency. You gotta be good from the beginning to the end, not just have a bad day. It happens to the best of the football teams, and we've seen it. In the Champions League, you will see teams that don't deserve to win to go through.
Sarah, listen.
The Premier League, the La Liga, it's because the best team
Sarah,
won.
listen. Now, let's come to
The
the mental.
Champions League,
Let's
no,
come-
let me
hold on,
say
hold on,
one
hold on,
thing.
hold
The
on,
best team
hold on,
does not always
hold on,
win the
hold on,
Champions
hold
League.
on,
And I'm not
hold
directing
on.
that at Real
No, hold
Madrid.
on.
I'm directing that at Chelsea when
No,
they
hold
won
on.
during
No,
Corona,
hold on.
because we
Hold
all
on.
know
Hold on.
the best team
Sarah.
always wins
Sarah,
the
listen.
league
Sarah,
title.
listen. Sarah, listen.
Punto.
Sarah, listen, yeah?
I'm done.
Now, let's come to the mental side of this stuff, right? I understand where she's coming from. But think about this, yeah? In your head, you're thinking, it's okay, let's just equate it to exams now, right? Imagine you're writing an exam, and then you fail it.
How are we talking about
Oh, no, hold on, because now I'm just trying to make you understand, because you don't understand where I'm coming from.
No, I
right?
understand,
Hold on.
but-
Imagine you fail an exam, and they'll tell you you have a chance to resit. And when you resit, you pass it, you can go to the next phase, or whatever, right? But do you know the kind of pressure you will have to feel when they say the moment you fail it, you're done? You'll literally drop off the class. You're not continuing with the degree again. Do you know what it does to your mental health? You have to think that, because this is what the Champions League is.
No,
you
but
don't have,
Clinton,
no, hold on, let me
Clinton.
finish. You don't have any room to say, okay, you know what? Okay, Manchester City, they've been beaten twice. At this point, there's nothing like there is a second playoff somewhere that brings you back. You're done. But with the Premier League, Arsenal beat you today. You'll be like, all right, cool. Our next game, this is the thing, this is the whole idea now. Our next game, we cannot lose. You lose your next game. Your next game, your coach still comes, listen, we cannot. So there are people who can lose so much. We look at what happened to Everton. There was a time where Everton, 10 good points were deducted from them because of some issues that went on, right? But somehow, they were able to fight to still stay in the Premier League. If this was Champions League, do you know what they'll be thinking about? 10 points gone. Bro, from there, everybody goes to new uniforms. You are going to swim. No point for football, or you're going to play in championship. So for me, you need to also think about the mental aspect of it. You're only saying this because, like, okay, there are some teams that have won several Champions League. Real Madrid, they've won, like, we cannot count how many. 15, yeah? We want to talk about the La Liga, they've won so many La Ligas, right? So at this point, all these degrees, it doesn't, if you want to start to turn them to say, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, they'll be like, well, look at this. Do you have it? Especially what Vinicius did, right? But if you want to talk about teams whom, for example, Arsenal, I lifted the Champions League trophy before Arsenal did. Do you know how crazy that is? And you are telling me that champion... Come on, man, let's be
Abigail, I'll ask you for a prediction for Liverpool and Manchester City, if you don't mind.
I think I will still go for a Liverpool win. Ancelot is complaining, but I think that if they can get their acts in place and then know that they want to lift this trophy, as prestigious as you put it, then they need to be able to get a win from this one. City should be able to also shake off some pains or shock from midweek, but I think if City can do anything proper, they can just get a point from here, but I'm going to root for a Liverpool win.
Okay, you give me a scoreline.
There are going to be goals this game. Definitely there's going to be a Salah goal. There could be a Mamouche goal. So I'll give Liverpool a 2-1.
All right, nice one. Alex Ashmore.
This is tough. I could go one of two ways, really, here. I think either... Do I stick my neck out?
I dare you.
Go for it?
Come on.
Nah.
Oh, come on, Alex.
Don't jinx Liverpool like how you did with Aston Villa yesterday with a draw.
It's hard.
A draw.
I think Man City will be hurt after last night. Liverpool will want to turn things around after the draw against Villa. I really don't know what Man City we're going to get on the day. That is the big thing with Man City. You never know what Man City you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get Man City that beats Newcastle 4-0 or the Man City last night, which was perhaps one of their worst performances of the season. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Liverpool win.
Okay, same as Abigail. Miss Shantelle.
Okay, I'm happy that you didn't jinx Liverpool
breath.
because, like, no, okay. Thank you for that. Honestly, I agree with Abigail saying that there will be goals in this game. I know that Liverpool defense isn't. It's kind of. Liverpool defense it's kind of. I don't want to say it's kind of. I don't want to say it, but yeah, it's not the best right now. And if they play like how I need them to play, I think it should be a 3-1. I'm sticking my neck out on it. 1 goal from Man City and everything else coming from Liverpool, 3. I know that Man City has a point to prove, but Liverpool will hold its own.
Clinton.
To be honest, you literally said it's Colin I was going to go for. I was going 3-1 for Liverpool. Fact is, this current Manchester City, I know Pep Guardiola is not thinking straight, and clearly this is a top team they are going to play. Yes, they did play a top team in Newcastle and they did show us a proper game, but thinking about the level of thinking for these players, they've just been humiliated by one team twice, and they might be coming into this game. It could go either way. They could be like, right, okay, we've just faced some kind of humiliation. We now need to win this game. So in that case, I see them having a draw. But if they show us this Liverpool, this Man City that we see, and we've seen a couple of times this season so far, I'm easily going for a 3-1 for Liverpool.
Okay, speaking of draw, I am going to go for a draw. Sorry, Shantelle, but only because I think we've seen such inconsistency from City that when they have a bad game, then they kind of have a decent game. And I think the fact that they're not in the Champions League might play into their favor. Liverpool is the better team, and will it be enough for City to do something in the Premier League? I don't think so in the end, so don't worry. I think Liverpool will still win. But I think City need this more than anything else right now. The players need it. Pep needs it. They're at the Etihad. The fans need it. And so I think a draw for them will be good enough. Like, I'm not even saying a win. A draw, they will walk away from that happy against the best team in the Premier League right now. So I'll say a draw, 2-2. Goals from, Salah for sure. Maybe, I don't know. We don't know about Haaland, so I won't say anything about him. But Marmoush needs it for himself, too, because after what we saw yesterday at the Bernabeu. Okay, we have to wrap up shortly, but before we do, Alex, there's another big game in the Premier League. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, Everton against
Chelsea and Aston Villa. Aston Villa coming off that 2-2 draw to Liverpool that we watched last night here. And Chelsea coming off not a great game, losing to Brighton back-to-back, in fact, Alex. What are your thoughts going into this? Both teams are a little shaky. Chelsea has 2 wins in their last 6 Premier League games. Aston Villa has 1. So both teams out of form.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real tough game, especially at Villa Park. We know how that crowd can really be a 12th man for Villa, and Liverpool last night found it tough. Liverpool are arguably the best team in the Premier League at the moment, but they went there and they were held to a draw. The players that Villa have at their disposal, you look at Rodgers, Ollie Watkins, Tielemans in that midfield, Chelsea being on the poor run of form that they are. We've heard that Madueke is going to be out for some time now with a hamstring injury. I think Chelsea will really struggle to get a result here. The motivation will be high to turn things around after those 2 Brighton defeats, but I think when you look at what Villa have and the way that they've been playing with their new signings, Rashford and Asensio as well coming in, I think Villa will have too much for Chelsea, and they'll really have that extra fire to try and kick on and get towards the Champions League. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 Villa win.
I don't know what's happening here.
Please, God, I beg. I just seen that Everton is playing Manchester United.
Yeah, you have your own fish to fry, my friend.
God, hey, this on form Everton. God, I beg. Hey,
Abigail, do you think Everton can beat Manchester United this weekend at Goodison Park?
they will beat us all.
They can, but twice of the last 2 visits United did to Goodison, it went in favor of United actually. But games between these two have been difficult, and with how United is now a switch, you don't know when they are going to be on and off. It's difficult to stick my neck out for my very own Manchester United.
Oh, you are one of us.
If we are going,
Oh, long.
it's difficult talking about United at this point in time, but it looks like we could lose 1-0 to Everton.
Yeah. No.
I know. They're ahead of you in the table.
Are they? Hey,
They're 14th and you guys are 15th.
Stop. No, don't repeat it.
They're 1 point ahead of Man United on the table.
Do you know how crazy that is? I would never thought I would see this day.
Everton is above us. Wait. Everton.
At the moment as well, according to SportyBet's odds, Everton are favourites. Everton are 2.6 to win.
Let's end the show. Sorry, what time does the show finish?
We got about 5 minutes.
Hey, 5 minutes is too long. Go. This is like 5 minutes at the Bernabeu. Oh God, what's
Well, I think Everton are going to win this game.
I think David
At Goodison
Moyes-
Park?
No, I've seen Everton play. Like this current Everton. Yeah. I would not be surprised if they listen. They might give us. See, even Abigail is trying to make. If Abigail is trying to make herself happy, saying 1, I'm seeing 3. I'm seeing 3-0, and we might not even score 1. No, this is not even a joke. I'm telling, bro. Do you know what Everton? Do you know what they are doing right now?
But I think people doubted when David Moyes came in. People were doubting, saying he's not going to turn this around. But they've rocketed up the table now. They're above Manchester United. They're well clear of that drop zone. And at Goodison Park, with that home crowd behind them, against Man United, who have been playing some of the worst football that Man United have been playing in recent years, I can see it going only towards Everton. And I think Everton might have they won't have a field day, but I think they'll get a convincing win here today. I'm happy to say maybe even 2-0.
The only person that plays for us is not even there.
He's in Real Betis. 4 minutes. Sorry, guys. If Manchester United lose this weekend and West Ham beat Arsenal, Manchester United will slide down to 16th place.
Wait, no, but you didn't have to give that kind of stats.
No, but this is where we are. This is where we are. This is where we are.
If
Manchester
win,
United
will be only 9 points above the relegation.
I saw something where if Manchester United lose like 6 more matches, and then of course Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton. You maybe put something to like.
No,
there's a possibility Manchester United can't get relegated. It's a big possibility. It's a small possibility.
Stop using such words on the SportyShow now. What's giving relegation?
Look at the way he changes his voice. Now he's sad. Now he's sad. I don't want to argue with you.
Why would you talk about relegation on the SportyShow? And then you mention Manchester.
Because that's where they're headed. Playing football that they're playing, that's where they're headed.
You guys know the club that you are. This is Manchester United, you know.
Do they know that this is United at this point, how they're playing? I don't think so.
This is a Man United that went to arguably one of the worst teams in the Premier League outside of the bottom 4-5 and didn't turn up at all.
Wait, so is it Manchester United people are talking about like this? Like,
no, I'm saying you went to Tottenham Hotspur, who couldn't seem to rub 3 points together if they played for 6 hours on
See, what's the next game we're talking about?
Let's wrap it up here. Let's wrap it up. Abigail, thank you so much for joining us. We do hope you come back, and best of luck this weekend.
Abigail, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you guys as well. Also, for those of you watching Europa League, Roma has kicked out Porto. But if you haven't seen Samu's goal for Porto, it was an excellent bicycle kick. So make sure you check that out. Massive matches this weekend. All of you guys, good luck. We'll be back again on Monday to do it all over. We'll talk about the Champions League draw and whether or not Manchester United beat Everton. Guys, it's been a pleasure. As always, until then, enjoy the football.
Everton.
Everton.
Manchester United, please. Manchester, please. Oh.
Everton,
Hey, God, oh. Hey, Manchester. Hey.
gol.